Hello everybody, this is Michelle Fox and welcome back to The Simple Quilter. As always, I'm glad to be here this morning filming this video for all of you. Now for all of my new viewers and subscribers, I want to be sure to let you know that I post videos every Wednesday morning. They post at 12 a.m. on Wednesday morning. Now I do want to mention the hearts behind me on my design wall. I usually have something up on my design wall to show you all. These are the hearts that I made from my last video, and I'm going to make a quilt out of this, but I'm searching for some more of the background fabric, and I need to make just a few more hearts. I like to make big quilts. I don't have quite enough of those yet, but I will be working on that. And I will show you when I get the top finished. It's kind of interesting because my goal this year was to finish a certain amount of UFOs. Well, every time I make a video, I'm creating more UFOs. So anyway, today's project is how to use small panels to make a small project, or that's what it was originally going to be. So I'm going to put the film down onto the table, and you're just going to see my hands for a while I explain about this project. Okay, so I wanted to show you in this video what you can do with small panel pieces. And this is actually a small project that you could do with these. However, I like the fabric so much, and I have 56 of these. And I love this pattern. Red's my favorite color, and I love scrappy quilts. So I am going to make a big quilt out of this. But you could actually stop here. This was my original plan, was to have a sashing, a smaller sashing, and then a couple of borders, and I had a spot on my wall. Actually, the only spot left, well, no, maybe I have a couple more, a spot on the wall in my quilt room because the sayings are just so cute. But I'm going to make this into a big quilt. So anyway, so this is a panel called In Stitches. It's an older panel. I found it when I was looking through my fabric stash trying to find fabric for my Quilted Hearts video, and I just love this, and I just ran across it. And that's the thing about our fabric stashes. We do need to revisit them because I totally forgot I had this, and it is so cute, and oh, I just love it. Okay, so again, this is an old one called In Stitches by Robin Kinsley, and it's put out by Maywood Studios. You might be able to find some of it left on Etsy. I did look, and they had a few pieces of the fabric line. I'm not sure they had any of the panel pieces, and this is the only other piece of fabric I had from that collection. But I absolutely love this fabric. I was going to actually use this for the sashing or the border, but since I'm going to make the quilt so big, I don't have enough of this, so I'll probably use this to make some of the stars since I have so many stars to make. But it is beautiful. And really, some of the other pieces are just great too. And the interesting thing is I thought, well, I'll just order some more. But my goal this year is to try to use what's in my stash and try to work with things in my stash. Now, I'm going to try not to buy a lot of fabric, but you know as well as I know, quilters are going to buy fabric, so I'm not saying I'm not going to buy any, but my goal this year really is to try to use what's in my stash. Okay, so the first thing I did, I just cut strips so that I could fussy cut these pieces, and I just used my 4.5-inch ruler, and I just kind of fussy cut the pieces out. Let me show you some of those that I cut out. Here are some of the blocks. They're so cute. To stitch or not to stitch? What a silly question. My soul is fed by needle and thread. Be happy just for the fun of it. I mean, they're just darling. But I just use my 4.5-inch ruler and I just fussy cut them. And you can see on this one, this side's a little bit larger than that one. But you know what? I've been trying to not worry so much about everything being perfect. And I ran across this saying, and I love this saying, and I've been saying it more to help ease my mind from things not being perfect. And the saying goes, it doesn't have to be perfect to be wonderful. And this is going to be a wonderful quilt, and it's going to be a big quilt. The first thing I did is I sketched out my layout that I wanted. I didn't color it all in because time's an issue, so I just did the side, the top and the side, but this is kind of the layout that I'm going to use for my quilt. And I do this again to help me determine the yardage, the size of the quilt, and like how many cornerstones I'm going to need, how many sashing pieces I'm going to need. So I've shown you that before, how I do that. The neat thing about this, when I just was trying to figure out what to do with these little pieces, I love star quilts. And you know, I just love the Flying Geese rulers that I've recently done a video on. There will be a link to the video showing how to use these rulers in the description below. Okay, so I used this ruler, the 2x4-inch ruler, to make the Flying Geese, which are the points to my star. And then these are just 2.5-inch squares. All of the fabric I just pulled from my stash. They're just all reds that came from my stash, and the backgrounds are just creams and whites that I pulled from my stash. So once I got everything cut and the Flying Geese pieces made, I just laid out my pieces like this. And I sewed these to that, these pieces to that, these pieces to that, and then I pressed them. So after I sewed them and pressed them, they look like this. And then I just connected these two pieces together and these two pieces together. And it makes an 8.5-inch unfinished quilt block. Now, because I used the Flying Geese rulers, my block came out just great. So after I had the blocks done, let me show you how these go together then. And this again was really this was my original plan, was to just make a small project. But again, I just loved it so much, I had to keep going. Okay, so then for the rest of this little project, I did a cornerstone and then my sashing pieces, just like that. And then I just sewed those together. And I actually could finish this just like this, if I would put this binding, I would use this fabric to put the binding on this quilt. Now, I'm not going to include the measurements of this piece because I really want to just show you an idea for using these small panels and using the Flying Geese rulers to make these. And you could take any size ruler, any size piece, and make Flying Geese to make stars. Now, I bought the set of 4 rulers so I could go up to a pretty big star for, you know, different sizes of quilt blocks. But I want you to be creative in using your small panel pieces to make quilts. And this is just one idea for doing that. These are the design boards that were designed by Lori Holt, and she has a tutorial where you can make these, or you can purchase them from like the Fat Quarter shop, but I just made them myself after I watched Lori Holt's video. But I just wanted to show you how nice those stack up, and then they just stack up and your projects remain organized. And you know, since I've been focusing on organization and keeping my room cleaner and more picked up, these are just really working out well. I hope you've enjoyed this video today, and I hope this gives you another idea on how to use your little panels, your smaller panels that might be in your stash. If you enjoyed this video and you haven't subscribed yet, please hit that subscribe button, and always feel free to leave a comment. I love to get the comments, and it's been fun because I'm getting more comments. So next week's video, I'm going to be talking about sewing machine needles. And so until next time, have fun quilting.